Now, someone may say, it seems you are further providing and proving that brain capacity among majority Europe, Asia, and America is far more than seen in African majority. In terms of technology, military, strategy, economics, religion, and human development, Africans are lacking in these areas. This could only be so because the African humans have less brain power and intellect biologically. It is important to address this concern with careful consideration of historical, scientific, and social context. The idea that one group of people has less brain power or is inherently less intelligent based on their ethnicity or geographic region is not supported by modern science. Intelligence and human development are shaped by a wide range of factors, including environment, history, education, opportunities, and social structures, rather than biological differences between populations. Let us explore why this is the case. Number one, no scientific evidence of biological differences in intelligence. Human genetics. Modern genetics shows that all humans share roughly the same genetic makeup, and there is no evidence to suggest that people from different continents have significant biological differences in brain capacity or intelligence. Genetic variation among humans is minimal, and the differences we see in society's development are not linked to inherent brain power, but to other external factors. IQ and intelligence testing. Studies on intelligence, such as IQ tests, are often influenced by environmental factors like access to education, nutrition, and cultural biases in the tests themselves. For example, a person's performance on standardized tests may reflect their educational background and experiences rather than their inherent intellectual ability. Intelligence is multifaceted and cannot be reduced to one number or one measure. Number two, historical and environmental factors, geography and resources. Many of the differences in development between Africa and other regions can be attributed to geographic and environmental factors. For example, Europe and parts of Asia had access to abundant natural resources, favorable climates for agriculture, and early advantages in trade routes. This allowed for the early accumulation of wealth and power in those regions. Colonialism's disruption. Africa's history was significantly disrupted by the transatlantic slave trade and colonialism. These processes drained Africa of its human and material resources, devastated local economies, and dismantled existing social and political structures. African countries, which had rich cultures, advanced societies, and strong political systems before colonization, were thrown into a cycle of dependency, exploitation, and underdevelopment. Number three, intelligence is shaped by environment, not biology. Education and opportunity. Intelligence and intellectual development are heavily influenced by access to education, quality nutrition, and supportive environment. Many African countries, especially after gaining independence, struggled with limited access to education due to economic hardship, political instability, and a lack of infrastructure. These factors have nothing to do with inherent brain capacity. Economic inequality. Poverty has a profound impact on brain development and cognitive performance. In wealthier countries, children have better access to healthcare, early childhood education, and stimulation that supports cognitive development. In contrast, children growing up in poverty, regardless of where they are in the world, often face greater challenges in reaching their full potential. Number four, technology and knowledge transfer, delayed industrialization. Europe and parts of Asia benefited from early industrialization, which accelerated technological development. This historical head start gave them a technological advantage over regions that were colonized or economically marginalized. Africa's underdevelopment is not due to a lack of intellectual capacity, but rather due to the historical timing of industrial revolutions, global trade dynamics, and external interventions like colonization and the slave trade. Innovation in Africa today. Despite the challenges, African countries are producing remarkable technological innovations today. For example, Kenya is a leader in mobile banking technology with the creation of M-Pesa. African scientists, entrepreneurs, and academics are making strides in many fields, from healthcare to education and technology. Number five, cultural and societal systems, different measures of development. Societies around the world develop in different ways based on their environmental, social, and historical circumstances. Many African societies historically placed a strong emphasis on community, oral traditions, and collective knowledge. These are sophisticated systems of social organization, but they are not always measured by the same standards as Western concepts of development, such as industrialization or technological advancement. Indigenous knowledge systems. African societies have long contributed to knowledge in fields like mathematics, metallurgy, agriculture, and philosophy. Many of these contributions have been overlooked or undervalued in mainstream historical narratives, but they reflect the intellectual achievements of African civilizations. Number six, colonialism and its lasting impacts. Economic exploitation. Colonial powers extracted enormous wealth from Africa without investing in its development. This extraction created an economic imbalance that left many African nations impoverished after independence. Colonialism also disrupted local governance systems leaving many African countries with fragile political institutions that struggled to meet the needs of their populations. Cultural suppression. Colonizers often sought to suppress African cultural and intellectual traditions, imposing European languages, religions, and systems of governance. This undermined the development of local institutions that could have fostered progress on African terms. The effects of colonialism continue to shape the challenges African countries face today. Number 7, global inequality and power dynamics. Structural barriers. The global economic system is structured is in ways that make it difficult for developing countries to compete on equal footing with wealthier nations. African countries often face unfavorable trade terms, external debt, and limited access to international markets. These structural barriers limit economic growth and human development, but they do not reflect an inherent lack of capability. International influence. Post colonial African nations have often been subject to external interference by powerful countries and multinational corporations. This has included economic policies imposed by international financial institutions like the IMF and the World Bank, which have sometimes prioritized debt repayment over development goals. These challenges have further constrained Africa's development trajectory. Number 8, evidence of African potential, emerging economies. Several African countries are experiencing rapid economic growth and innovation. Countries like Rwanda, Ghana, and Ethiopia have made significant progress in areas such as technology, infrastructure, and governance. These successes demonstrate the intellectual and economic potential of African societies when given the right conditions. African intellectual contributions. African thinkers, scientists, and leaders have contributed to global knowledge and progress in numerous ways, from early advances in mathematics and medicine to modern breakthroughs in technology. Africa has always been a source of intellectual achievement. In conclusion to that question, intelligence is universal. The challenges that Africa has faced in its development are the result of historical, structural, and external factors, not biological differences in intelligence. The notion that Africans are inherently less intelligent is an outdated and debunked idea rooted in racist stereotypes rather than scientific evidence. Intelligence is influenced by environment, education, access to resources, and opportunities, factors that have been unevenly distributed due to historical circumstances. Africa's future is bright, and with the right investment in education, infrastructure, and governance, the continent has the potential to achieve tremendous progress. The achievements already seen in various parts of Africa prove that African people are as capable as anyone else when provided with the right conditions to thrive. If you're getting value from this video, support this channel by subscribing, liking, and sharing this video. Now, I have a motivating story for humans all over the world, especially Africans from this conversation, and I have titled it The Seeds of Greatness, Unleashing Africa's Hidden Potential. Here we go. In a world of diverse landscapes, cultures, and histories, the story of human development is a shared journey. Every corner of the globe has its unique challenges and triumphs, but one truth remains constant: the seeds of greatness are planted in all people, regardless of where they come from. The journey of human progress. For centuries, Europe, Asia, and the Americas experienced waves of technological, economic, and social advancement. These regions were shaped by specific historical circumstances, access to resources, geography, industrial revolutions, and political unity. They were not better because they were biologically superior, but because conditions aligned to allow their societies to thrive. These advantages were built on centuries of knowledge transfer, innovation, and sometimes the exploitation of others. Africa, too, has a rich and profound history. Ancient African civilizations like Egypt, Mali, and Great Zimbabwe once stood as beacons of knowledge, culture, and prosperity. Scholars from Timbuktu to Alexandria shaped the global intellectual landscape, making contributions to mathematics, astronomy, and philosophy. These achievements remind us that Africa's potential has always been immense. The disruptive shadows of colonialism. But Africa's journey took a different turn when colonial powers carved the continent into territories for their own benefit. Colonialism, with its greed and exploitation, disrupted the natural development of African societies. Resources were extracted, people were enslaved, and systems of governance were torn apart. Africa was left with wounds that would take generations to heal. However, this difficult chapter does not define Africa. It is but one part of a broader story of resilience, survival, and ultimate renewal. Even in the face of colonialism and its aftermath, Africa's spirit remained unbroken, rediscovering Africa's power. Today, Africa is at a turning point. The challenges of the past have not destroyed the continent's potential, but instead have created opportunities for rebirth. Across Africa, innovation is blossoming. In Kenya, mobile banking technology has empowered millions. In Rwanda, a country once torn by conflict is now one of the fastest growing economies in the world. In Nigeria, a booming entertainment industry is captivating audiences worldwide. This is not just about economic growth. It is about the power of African minds, African creativity, and African solutions to global problems. Intelligence is not confined by geography, and Africa's intellectual capacity is vast and untapped. The continent is filled with young people bursting with ideas, eager to take their place on the global stage. A call to all humanity. The story of human progress belongs to all of us. Europe, Asia, the Americas, and Africa are intertwined in ways we are only beginning to fully understand. No region has a monopoly on greatness, and no people are destined for mediocrity. What matters is not where you begin, but the conditions you create for yourself and your community. To all Africans, the message is clear. Your potential is boundless. You are the descendants of thinkers, builders, and leaders. You are capable of shaping your own future and contributing to the world in ways that will leave an indelible mark. Yes, the journey has been difficult, but history shows us that adversity often births the greatest victory. And to people all over the world, let us remember that we are all part of this shared human journey. Whether you are in Europe, Asia, the Americas, or Africa, you have the power to shape your future, to break through the barriers of history, and to create a world where all human potential is realized. The future belongs to the dreamers. Africa's story, like the story of every region, is one of possibility. It is a story of people who refuse to define by the struggle of the past. It is a story of visionaries who look to the future with hope. The seeds of greatness are in every person, every culture, and every land. Now is the time to nurture those seeds and watch them grow into the full flowering of human potential. The future is in your hands, and together we can build a world where every person has the opportunity to rise. The seeds of greatness reminds us that no single region or people is inherently more capable or intelligent than another. Instead, it's the system we create, the challenges we overcome, and the opportunities we seize that determine our success.